Next, on the Boardroom, Corey Turley presents his pest control business seeking advice and opportunities to expand.
Thank you. My name is Corey Turley, and I am the owner. My wife and I are the owners of Addison Pest Control. We started this business 6 years ago, and both of us had careers in other fields. And 6 years ago, we decided to get into the pest control industry, the pest control business. We did that by way of starting Addison Pest Control and purchasing a company that was already existing and had been around for 20 plus years. At that time, it was a small business doing about $100,000 a year. Since then, we've grown it. This will be our 7th year of operations, and we're currently running on about a $400,000 a year revenue run. Our company is profitable, very profitable, but as with most small businesses, we're undercapitalized. And so we're here today seeking two things: advice and potentially money to help us grow our company. And not to just grow it at a 10 or 15% clip, but to grow it quite rapidly. What we're asking for today is basically what we're looking to do is to launch into some different products. We're looking to start a new line of business that caters to other individual, small mom and pop pest control companies, and we're also looking to acquire a competitor. And so today we'd like to have advice on your opinion and your advice on what you think of those, and then potentially if you'd be interested in helping us finance and prepare for that too. As I said, we started this business in '06. We're in our 7th year. Our company operates in what we call the Golden Pie. If you come out of Highland Park and you go up 35 on the west and 75 on the east and cap it at 380, that would be our trade area. Our company does residential and commercial pest control, and we offer our services to control pests, termites, rats, and lawn care. When we originally got into this business, we felt like it was a great business to do consolidation, where there'd be a lot of 1-2 truck operators out there that would want to consolidate or sell, and we figured we would grow our business that way. As it's turned out, those opportunities have not been out there until lately, and I think part of that's driven by what's going on in our economy. We are a service company, and just like the lawn guy, we may be in an economic downturn. We're probably one of the first ones to go. And so what we've seen over the last 3 years is that our competitors that are of similar size and smaller are actually getting weaker, and they're looking to exit the business. We feel like that there's a great opportunity due to a lot of businesses going out that are struggling, that are weak, to start to consolidate those now. The other opportunity there is that as you know, as competitors leave the marketplace, it creates a great opportunity for you to grow your business. And I think we've been blessed by the small 1, 2, and 3 truck operator either leaving the industry, going out of business, or being consolidated up into your large consolidators like Orkin and Terminix. And so I guess where we feel like our great opportunity is to grow through acquisition, but also to grow organically, because we're in the marketplace, and our competitor, there aren't as many competitors out there as there were 5 to 6 years ago. The second thing is our industry was hit in 2008 by the start of the recession, and our industry trails close to the real estate cycle. Obviously, when residential building and commercial buildings going on, our business flourishes. And so if the cycle turns back around and goes the other way, we feel like we would be in a great position to pick up the business as that cycle turns back around. We're trying to position, there's only 2 ways to really compete in our business, I think. One is on price, because we are a commodity industry, and at the end of the day, most people ask, what's the price of your service? Okay, the other way is to compete is to do something different. And we are looking to launch a new product, and it's going to be a bundled product where we take pest, rodent, termite, and lawn care and bundle it into one product and sell it to to our customers. And basically what we're trying to do there, as you can imagine, the cost of a trip. If you did each one of those separately, your cost would be there. We feel like by bundling that, we can cut that cost down and lower the price a little bit and be more profitable. The real hook in our business is termites. At the end of the day, the customer is worried about their house being eaten down. They're not really that concerned about spiders and things of that nature, but they're more concerned about termites. And so one of the benefits of doing this bundling program is to lock in all 4 of those and hook it with a termite service, okay? We have chosen to use a particular product that's a baiting system that's made by Dow AgroSciences. We are wanting to take and really push that product, and in doing that, the cost of that product is very expensive, and we want to go from having about 200 bundles today to 1,000 bundles within the next 1.5 to 2 years. That would put our company in a significant negative cash flow due to the cost of that product. Okay, and so we estimate somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000 just to absorb the negative cash flow that launching that bundled product would create. Okay, and so that would be our first request, is to look for the money to finance the launch of that new product. The other part about being different in the pest control business, you probably heard a lot of people talking about green. This bundle will be a green product. And we really haven't positioned ourselves from a marketing and advertising standpoint to do that, and would need the funds to retool our image to promote that bundled green product. The other opportunity is the biggest challenge to small operators is that Orkin and Terminex and the large companies can obviously out advertise you. They obviously so they can out advertise you. They are quick to the market, and so that creates a challenge for the small operator because he can be out advertised by the big guy. So that creates a problem where all these little companies don't have an identity, okay? They don't have a marketing presence, they don't have a marketing identity. A lot of them are true exterminators that are in the business. They're 1-2 truck operators. They're true exterminators, they're not really businessmen. Something that we'd like to accomplish is to start offering a licensing or franchising opportunity to other small 1-2 truck operators, whereby they use our name, our platform, and we get the benefit of marketing and advertising as a group instead of as each individual pest control. We don't know the cost to do that. Obviously, we don't. The cost just to do the franchising or licensing documents would be enormous. I think it's a unique opportunity to create a franchising or licensing platform for other small pest control operators. Okay, and probably from that angle, we would be looking more for advice on how to go about doing that. I visit with a lot of small pest control operators, and their issues are all the same. I'm a good exterminator, I just don't have any market presence. I don't have the capital to grow my business, or maybe I don't have the operational sophistication to grow my business. That's where we could help them and perhaps do some type of licensing or franchising opportunity. The third opportunity for us is to acquire a competitor. It's a similar sized company. If you look at the financials of the company, they're similar revenue size, they're similar profitability, they're similar trade area, and we could basically double the size of our company by acquiring that company. The gentleman that owns it is 71 years old. He wishes to retire. He and I have developed a great friendship and relationship over the last 7 years, and I think he'd be a great fit for us to actually double the size of our company rather quickly, just as soon as we could come to terms on buying this company.
You talked about bundling. Give me the 4 bundled products again.
Termites, pests, rodents, and lawn care.
And do you do all of that now?
We do all of it now, but we do it as 4 different processes.
Why is bundling it going to cost so much and give you negative cash flow?
Well, the part of that is that the system that we are using costs $375. And we want to sell it for $99. That seems kind of crazy to sell your product for less than it costs. But the retention on this system is about, if you get the customer past 3 years, they typically stay with this system 9 years. And so we're wanting to install it at less than our cost and then sell it for $49.50 a month, which is about $600 a year. Okay, so depending on how rapidly you put those in, when you have to pay for that up front, you're going to create a negative cash flow there for the company.
Is the $375 for the termite?
Yep, just for
Baits?
the termite.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. How many competitors, what are your competitors? Big ones, big names, Orkin?
Orkin, Terminex. Our industry is considered highly fragmented. The top 100 companies in the marketplace control 50% of the market. The rest of it is your small and mid-sized companies.
And why wouldn't people go with one of those? What would you have to offer by trying to compete with them?
We've tried to compete two ways, and it depends on the customer. In the beginning, or even today, don't get me wrong, it's about service. We're a service company, and you can compete with the big guy because of the kind of the bureaucracy you have to go through to get scheduled. And in our business, we say, you call, we come. And we'll usually be out there about 6 o'clock tonight. And so competing with the big guys, we can be there quicker, okay? And competing with the small guy, we believe we can be there quicker too. It's all about service. That's how you're going to compete in this business.
And then my last line of question was on the acquisition that's available. What do pest control businesses typically sell for?
Typically between 1 and 1.5 times revenue.
Okay, so I was unfair and took too many questions. Who would like to start the ball rolling?
I've tracked it. I've already got your number of questions down.
I have a question. The uniqueness of your service that you want to franchise, are you claiming the uniqueness of your service or the process of your services? That being said, you know, the chemicals you use for the control of termites, pests, rodents, and what have you, are they your proprietary product? Or are you selling what is special about your services? So what are you bundling?
The products that we use are universal. Any licensed pest control company can use them. And so we're not mixing products, okay? And so you're right, the actual product that we're using to control pests is the same from company to company. I think the uniqueness is about knowledge and service, okay? Showing up on time and solving a pest issue. And so the uniqueness of us is the expertise and knowledge that we have and the delivery of our service. I really believe that.
I want to question your bundling business model. When I'm looking at how your sales are distributed, approximately 50% of your sales come from pest control. You have a minute, nothing from lawn service. So share with me why you feel that why these other areas where you have performed poorly in the past, what are you going to do to turn that around? What is your approach?
Perform poorly with?
Relative to your percentage of sales. Your core business is pest. It's over 50% of representative of your sales.
Yep.
Your lawn care is less than 1%, is what I'm looking at.
And the lawn care part of this is something that we launched this year.
Yes.
Okay, and so, you know, your customer will do more with you if they trust you with what you're doing. Okay, and so that's something that we've launched this year, and I mean we are starting to see the benefits of it. Even though I guess you're probably looking at the February numbers.
I'm looking at sales by service report.
And that's
for the year.
February.
I think I'm looking for the year. total is $399,000.
This here is for the last, this is through 3/31, okay?
Mhm.
Lawn care starts off the last part of March, and April, May, so you just don't see those numbers yet.
And on the lawn care side, are you talking about pesticide lawn care or mowing lawns or
No.
both or?
Weed, feed, disease control,
Okay. And how many trucks do you have?
3.
3. And how many trucks are you looking to acquire?
If we take over the competitor,
Yes.
he's just like us, it'll be 3 trucks.
And how do they compare in revenues with their 3 trucks versus your 3 trucks?
Pretty close.
Corey, what percent of your business is commercial versus residential?
It's about 70% residential, 30% commercial.
Either one of them significantly more profitable than the other?
Not really. I mean, the cost to go somewhere is, the cost to perform the service is the same. And you get paid, we're running the trucks off about $110 a run type deal, whether it's commercial or residential. The difference is that the commercial, you know, our business is seasonal. The commercial clients will take the service in the winter, whereas residential customers won't. So,
In the industry as a whole over the last 3 or 4 years, is it flat, increasing, decreasing?
I think the industry's probably seen about 3% growth. And there's some information in here about this. What's going on in the last 3 years is there's been consolidation, okay? Obviously, as the economy changed, the consolidators purchased, you know, the weaker companies. We've seen a lot of that. And we've seen a lot of small companies go out of business. And so now then our industry does track to the real estate market. When residential construction is booming, you can go back and there's a graph in there about how it tracks to the real estate cycle. When residential housing is booming or commercial buildings booming, then our industry is doing pretty well too. It tracks pretty close. And you can look and see when the dip happened. And so,
What percent of your business is new business, new customers versus customers repeating?
I think it's about 75% repeat and probably 25% new.
And how are you paid? How do you structure your payments?
We collect at the time we do the service unless it's commercial. And if it's commercial, it's net 30. We're trying to go to, we collect it via debit or credit card. It's challenging to get folks to change that. There's probably 15% of our residential business that we actually bill.
What is it that you value about your competitor's business that causes you to want to acquire it? And secondly, how would you pay him for the business you're acquiring?
A few things. One, he's been around a long time, 26 years, the same operator. He was the one truck guy that grew it to 3, okay? He is in high-end residential and the restaurant business.
All right, I just want a clarifying question. So what you're really buying from someone, if you buy someone's business, what you're really buying is a list of customers.
That's
You're not really buying, there's no equipment, or not equipment.
There's a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, 3 trucks, a couple of spray rigs, and really what you're buying is their contracts.
Okay. Oh, the current contracts that they have.
Monthlies, quarterlies.
Got it, okay. And then what is an average sale to a residential? What's your average, you come to my house, your average service, what is that?
If you just looked across every product that we use.
No, your average sale, when you go to, if you took all your residential business, what's an average sale?
$110.
$110 a month? And what's your average sale to a commercial business?
About the same.
Really?
Yes.
So a house or a 10-story building is going to cost us, you're going to charge the same?
Well, no, I mean, you're going to, you know, if you're doing a large property, you're going to charge that more. But if you start averaging it out, I mean, if you just average it out, it's $110.
Corey, you've got 3 trucks. Is it fair to assume that you've got 1 driver technician for each of the 3 trucks?
That's correct.
And how many support staff do you have that are doing finance, accounting, scheduling, dispatching, purchasing of the raw materials? And how many people do you have selling?
Well, I'm 9 of those people.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, one of the things we've tried to avoid is building overhead into our company. And because you can't, okay? If you do it now, it's not a very profitable business. You're touching on one of my biggest challenges, is that in this business, if you're a $500,000 pest control company, you're somebody, okay? I mean, really, that sounds quite small, but a $500,000 pest control company is somebody.
You were talking about the bundled services, and you would recoup the total cost of that over 3 years with any given client. You've taken into consideration that if you continue on with only capturing 75% of those as repeat customers, and 25 of them are going to be flushed away.
Yeah.
We have a situation here in Dallas that you may be familiar with, a company that was selling product, service for less money than they were charging for it. That was American Airlines. Okay?
It doesn't turn out too well, I guess, is what you're trying to say.
They're not out of the woods yet, but it's difficult for me to understand a 3-year payback on that, especially with the customer dissolution.
Yes. Okay, and I may have misspoke on the numbers. Day one, to put that system in is $375. That first year, if we collect $600, we cover it, okay? But, so at $50 a month, is that 6 months out, 7 months out? Man, I can't do that today. I don't have the cash to absorb that. And we're not wanting to do it on a small scale. I mean, we're wanting to, and Dow AgroSciences is behind us. They'll do all the marketing and advertising and promoting of this, but we have to absorb the cost of that system. And so now then, when you get to year 2, the renewal on that is $50. And so now you're in a situation where you're collecting $600 and it's costing you $50 for the termite side of that. And then the dynamics of, the gross profit margins that are in the P&L will start to play out. Okay, and so, we want to ramp it up large, okay, but we don't have the cash to do that. And I think that when you get into this month 7, 8, you start realizing that profitability, and then it accelerates in 2 and 3. And so year 1, it's horrible. Year 2, it turns out pretty well. And the AgroSciences has the research that says if you keep a customer past 3 years, okay, you're going to keep them for 9. And so if you think 9 years, $600, and then you're going to escalate the prices. But so we're trying to do something that A is affordable, B is a high quality product, and that we can retain a customer, the retention part of it.
Last question. Did I understand correctly that you're looking for about $150,000 to launch for the inventory for the bundled services?
That's correct.
And that you're looking for approximately another $600,000 for the acquisition of the territorial competitor?
That's right. About 400. We could buy that business for about $400,000. Okay.
So then the total of about $550 is what you're looking for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Help me one more time on I'm sorry, I'm going to go for 2 rounds of questions here.
If 2 rounds, you have to write a check.
Well, like now, I just have to have some more information to be interested in writing.
I understand.
So go back to that contract again. How long in that bundle are they contracted for?
We're 2 years is what we were going to ask for.
And what do you ask for now?
Quarter to quarter.
Do you think what kind of a default rate do you think you will have if you do a 2-year contract? How many customers are going to break your contract? Do you guess?
I don't know.
And are you going to sue them?
No, I think the key to it is that you structure the contract to where if they break it within 2 years, then they have to pay some remuneration back. Okay, there are some contracts that we have that if they break it within the first year, then it's a $200 prepay. It's a $200 fee to get out of it.
You doubled in a year. How did you do it?
Advertising, marketing, and just paying attention to what we're doing.
And how did you handle the growth?
I own the company, and so good enough is never good enough, okay? And I think we handled it pretty well. And I'd say we're a C+, okay? There were months I'd say we were an A+. And there are some things in my business that I look at. Service is service, and what your customer thinks, regardless of how good we think we are, what he thinks really matters. That's all that matters. So we do ratings. We rate our company, and we get our customers to rate us. On a 5-star scale, we're rated 4.65. Okay, and as I understand it, to go from 4 to something in the 4s up to a 5 is something emotional. So I think we touched our customer. Okay.
Then we'll go on to advice. So for everyone's interest, Corey was the banker at Plains Capital that gave me my first line of credit in my previous company. So I'm just curious, did we rake you over the coals harder than you raked me over the coals?
Hey, I just said, man, this guy's so handsome, here's $250,000. That's what it, you guys are easy, so.
Okay, so several things. I think you're the most realistic of anybody that's come in on price. You have a real business, you have a real value, and I think the price you're asking about is within the range of with realism. I think I'd have a lot of fun and passion helping you get this to $1 million. I have a lot of interest, so I think we ought to spend some more time talking through it. I guess I understand the bundling now, and it makes sense to me. So I'm good with that. My biggest advice to you right now is stay completely away from the licensing and franchising stuff. I've been bitten hard in it. You're looking at $250,000, first of all, just to do it and do it right. I think you need to grow a little bit more, get over the $1 million range, because you're going to have to show your financials to the people that would be investing in you. So that's my first suggestion: is stay away from the licensing and franchising thing. I'd have to discuss with you more what you have to offer to begin with, but I'll tell you the story of my biggest franchise disaster. I did 13 franchises, I believe, and one of them in California. Never, ever, ever do anything in California franchise-wise. One of my franchisees, who I gave my system to, I gave my software to, I trained them, I gave my look, because I made one little teeny tiny technical error, they sued me. I ended up settling for $360,000. So they paid me $27,500. They were in business 5 years, making a profit. And then I had to settle and pay them $360,000. It was really, really irritating. I would stay completely out of that. Just as a learning advice thing too, I'll tell you that investors, or at least me, when I hear something separate fee out of the company, it's me, that is big time bells and whistles. And I'll tell you why. I invested in a restaurant in South Lake. This was a celebrity chef. He had a big following. He was working for somebody at a big restaurant, and then he went out to open his own. He had a lot of money following his way. He had a really nice restaurant. There'd be Dallas celebrities in it constantly, and he was losing money. And I had one of my friends actually went and worked as a waitress there, and I found out that that he was doing catering out of his restaurant, using the kitchen and keeping all of the catering money separately, and that's the only way he made money. The rest of us got screwed and lost every dollar. As an investor, anything that you do regarding this business, if I'm going to invest in you, has to be bundled and tied into the business. You can't have you can't have outside revenue coming into it. That's my advice. Again, I would like to, sit down and discuss some ways of doing it. Oh, last thing, we have at FastBucks, we run essentially 60 some odd companies out of our corporate office. We have, or at least have had in the past, legal. We have all the accounting and everything in place. And one of our thoughts in making making these deals through the boardroom is that I think we can help a small business by taking on getting a CFO, having the accounts payable people. Instead of doing it as full-time costs, you just pay kind of a percentage of revenue, and it will save you money in the end. It helps us absorb our costs, and you get better people looking at the transaction. So just to kind of put that in your head, that's kind of the direction that we would like to pursue as we make investments, that we'd like to do, some of that to save you money.
Great. Thank you very much.
I go first one. I don't know much about pest business. I do know I like the green idea. I'm very averse to having chemicals in the house, so that's something you might want to hone in on. I would pay a little more attention to personal time as to what your intermediate plans are for your lifestyle at home with spouse. I also work with my spouse, and I know it can be challenging, but boundaries get muddled sometimes. So in the scope of expanding your business, I like the idea of expanding the business and working less. And I'd like for you to consider the challenge of making that equation work. So that's my 2 bits for you. Thank you.
You must have talked to my wife before this.
No, I haven't met your wife. Would like
She talks all the time. He needs to work less. But,
Sorry, one rule while we're doing the advice, you can't comment till the end. Sorry. I didn't repeat that again today. Not that I haven't been breaking all my own rules.
Corey, I've known you from history, and you put together a good business plan, and you're a good businessman, so I don't think we need to talk about that. I'll just share, I think you're right on. You've got to beat your competition with service. You are not going to outrun them with advertising. I personally get tired of looking at my caller ID from True Green and Pest Controls, and they will call daily and bombard me. On the other hand, that personally, what that does for me is I turn them off, and I live in a fairly nice neighborhood, and I use the local guy because he gives exactly what you're saying, service. And as long as he gives me service, I'm not going anywhere. And so I truly believe that you've got to build your business on reputation, that you will never be able to compete from an advertising standpoint, nor I don't think you want to. I think you're better off going after the people that get upset about the large company. And that's kind of how I would gear it. Because once they have a negative perspective of those people, they'll never let them in again. And it's almost like locking in business for you, as long as you continue to give good service. I, on the other hand, I'm not, I haven't been sold on the bundling concept. Your core business is your core business, and especially if you're going to set out and grow, you really want to stay focused. Sometimes when you get kind of tantalized by something that's new, you lose sight of where you're really making money. So I think you got a good concept, and I think you have some good opportunities, whether you decide to leverage your operating capability now or be patient in a year, you'll be there.
Great, thanks.
Corey, by the way, great job on this sets a new standard for what we've seen so far from presenters as far as giving information to the boardroom. I wish we'd had a chance to look through it in advance, but I'm going to spend some time on it because you got a lot of good stuff there. A couple of suggestions. I don't like Addison Pest Control. If I'm in Flower Mound or Carrollton or Plano, I'm not going to buy Addison Pest Control. So I'd like to see you come up with a name that's got some sap to it. I mean, do a little creative thinking, protect the trademark, and get you a name that you can promote and take coast to coast and top to bottom. So I don't like Addison Pest Control. I see, from my perspective, you've got a great handle on operations. You're going to give good service, and if you say you'll be there Sunday at 7, you'll be there Sunday at 7. I like that. I don't get a feeling that you got a handle on marketing and sales. And to me, this is a marketing and sales bonanza. What you need is a strong marketing salesperson who can generate those leads, and then you take care of the service. And once you generate more leads than you can handle, like you say, you got 100 people you can't get. I can't imagine there's not a whole slew of little guys like you that would love to get a piece of your business and go out and do it for you on your behalf. And that way you don't have to waste 150 leads. You know, you might get 35 gross, they get 65, but they don't have to go get it. And man, they might get it at, I think in this business, there's a lot more people that are good at doing it than there are generating customers. So if you get a, you know, where I live in Denton, I have never seen a flyer, a knock on the door, anything to do with pest control. So somebody's, and there's a lot of houses out there, so somebody's just not doing it. I think there's so much potential if you get into maybe a little more focus on marketing and sales. I don't like the bundling. I'd like to see you work toward having a champion in each of these areas you're doing, and that champion will be responsible for seeing that it's got plenty of customers, plenty of cash, makes money, and gets a piece of it. So you got someone out there hustling lawn service, hustling pest control, rodent control. I don't like the termite business. I think it's expensive. I think there's a lot of litigation associated with it. I don't know this business, but what I do know of it, I don't think I'd want to mess with termites. It just seems like that's a scam. I defy you to call a pest control person, well, that's too strong, but I bet 9 out of 10 come there and, yep, you got termites. We got to do this. We got to dig a ditch 4 feet deep, 38 feet wide, and it's going to take about $3,800. You know, I got to do it tonight because they're really getting after you. I just think it's not a good business at all.
You sold steel buildings.
But you know, if you go out after the people that are doing lawn service and doing a good job, those customers like those people, and make a deal with them. Hey, give this flyer. You talk to your customer, and I'll give you a nice finder's fee or referral fee to get me with one of your customers. And then he makes money, you come in there, and because his customer's letting him do his grass, man, my friend here will do your rodents, they'll do your termites, they'll get rid of your wasps. You know, whatever you want to do, they'll do it there. And so I'd do more of the getting people to find you customers and pay them something for it, so they kind of eat what they kill, and it's a win-win for everybody. But I'm very impressed with you. I think you are sincere. I bet your wife's the same kind of lady, and I think in this business you're probably you're a top chef.
Thank you. Want to start at the end? Corey, I have it on good authority that when the human race passes from the scene, the insects will inherit the earth. Between now and then, you stand to make a lot of money fighting them. I've got 2 things I would offer up for you. The first has to do with your bundled product. It occurs to me that because you have pretty good history that substantiates how long you keep a customer, that for an investment of $375, you could offer a prospective investor pretty good rate of return for an extended period of time and still make a lot of money on the back end. One of the things that you might consider doing instead of giving up ownership in your business is introducing a revenue participation program among interested people. so that for an investment of $375, I, as a participant, can provide you the money which you use to buy your delivered system and install it at a customer that you pre-sold, and in connection with your monthly revenue generated from that customer, pay that investor who takes the financial risk on the front end a return over and above the money that they put up. Negotiated number, obviously, but you get the money you need to put your bundled product idea in place, and at the same time don't have to give up ownership in your entity to do it. You have a big enough pool of revenue participants, you could probably fund just about anything that you would have the ability to pre-sell and install. If any of those customers decides that they want to cancel your contracts, you have something that you can physically go remove and presumably use again in a different environment. So the participants' revenue participation stream might be interrupted, but it wouldn't be terminated. So you might find some interested players in a scheme like that, where you wouldn't have to give up ownership in order to put the money together to introduce your bundled product in a wide market. The second thing I would mention is in connection with your proposed acquisition. Tom put his finger on it whenever he said that the customer contracts are the thing that is really valuable about your competitor's business. Those contracts are valuable to you only if they stay with you. So one of the things that you might consider doing in your acquisition model is buying out competitor businesses, people that are ready to stop, by giving them a declining, sliding scale of the revenue that you realize from those customers for some period of time after the buyout. 2 years, 3 years, whatever the negotiated number is, to where you can pull enough money out of those ongoing contracts to cover your costs and make a little profit, where at the same time you give them a substantial portion of the profit on the front end that declines over time. And if you're successful in retaining those customers, then you have a huge back-end win similar to the revenue participation. And you can do that without having the upfront capital requirements for acquiring a competitor's business for cash, where you're taking all the risk of customer retention. You're shifting that risk to the person who's selling you the business, while at the same time compensating them for future revenue that they're not contributing to in terms of the time and effort in the business. So I would offer up those two suggestions for you as a way to not only get your bundled product introduced, but a way to acquire this competitor and maybe other competitors.
Great, thanks.
My turn? First on top of my list was change the name. So I agree, Addison Pest Control, you come to Denton, you know, and especially if you're planning on expanding and growing, I think you got to get away from Addison Pest Control and create a new name. Piggybacking on what David said, I said don't buy the other businesses, because if you buy them and those contracts are null and void once the purchase is made, you lose 30% of those contracts. Is it really worth? So I could be very careful, and I like the idea of saying, you know, we'll pay you on the contracts over a period of time. But the other thing that I think that got me, that I think you really got to think about, and what I heard, is we're really great with this customer service. But I also heard you say in the beginning, well, we're a commodity, and bottom line, it's all about price. And you're going to struggle if you can't. You got to figure out, we are not all about price. We do charge more, because if you're going to go green and you're worried about that, don't go green. I commend you for it, but if you call all your customers up and say, we're going to raise your price $5 a month because we're going green, how many are you going to lose? So either we decide we're going to sell value and create value, and I will charge more than the other guy, and this is what we give you, and we'll stand by that, or become a commodity. But pick one and stand by it. Either be the Kmart or be the Nordstroms. And there is room for Nordstrom's in pest control. They're obviously, because people are buying them. So don't try to be both. You won't make it.
Corey, you've gotten a lot of good commentary, a lot of good advice. I third or fourth, the motion, change the name, drop Addison. Good place, but you can find something else, keep the APC there, and find another word other than Addison to put in there to cover it. One of the other interesting things that I see is if you were to acquire another similarly sized business in both service and in revenue, you're going to be in debt, seriously in debt. And if you were to sell a portion of your business for the 50%, not only do you have the debt service, but now you have a partner. And partners tend to get vocal. I don't know how much you invested in the company before you borrowed the $180,000 to buy that. But if your debt service right now, your outstanding loan is $70,000, you can sell the business for $415,000 to $600,000. Take the money and run. Find out what you want to do with your life. Maybe get back into banking. Maybe do something else, or maybe do pest control on a larger basis. My advice: take the money and run.
Any comments?
No, I appreciate the advice and the comments, and you all have touched on very significant issues that I think about and deal with day in and day out. And I've heard that about the name a lot. It's unbelievable how many people tell me that. And the word Addison actually means to flourish and to be kind of contemporary, flourishing, and on the cutting edge. And so, but here it's about a town. And so, you know, I've heard that quite a bit. And the marketing piece, if you ask my other big challenges, I know that we don't have that. I know that it's working great, okay, and we're growing, but it's not good enough. So
Good news is it's affordable and it's quick.
yes, yeah. And so that's the other part. The capacity issue is one, marketing and advertising is the other. And then, you know, so I really do appreciate the advice. It's all great comments, and you touched on the personal thing, which is very personal. So I really do appreciate that.
Well, everybody give Corey a big hand.
If you would like to present your product or business to the boardroom, visit www.boardroomlessons.com.